Hi, I'm Brent Johnson,
And I'm Andrew Schaeffer.
and we are at First Presbyterian Church in Waunakee, Wisconsin. This is just about a half hour or so north of downtown Madison, Wisconsin. And we have come here today to see this instrument that Andrew informed me about. Tell me what we got here.
Now, this is a very special organ. It was built by a Wisconsin builder, William Schulka. The origins of this organ are a little hazy. We believe it was built sometime in the 1890s. This is actually the fourth home for this storied instrument. We aren't exactly sure where it was originally installed, but we do know that it moved to somewhere near Oconomowoc, Wisconsin in the 1920s or 1930s. From there, it was actually moved to the Lone Star State, and it remained there until the late 80s, early 90s, when the Organ Clearinghouse identified it. First Presbyterian Church here was in the process of planning this space, and Alan Loftman of the Organ Clearinghouse helped identify it, and thought it would be extremely fitting that a Schulka organ would end up back in Wisconsin.
So we have an organ from the 1890s and a building from the 1990s.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
come back to Wisconsin after 100 years. Wonderful.
And the organ was subsequently restored by Wahl Organ Builders of Appleton, Wisconsin. They tried to do a very truthful restoration, museum quality, and it's turned out very well. This organ has seen some alterations over the years, but they tried their best to get it back to original condition.
Now, have you played this organ before today?
Actually, this is my first time in the building.
Mine too, so we're both getting to see this instrument.
I know of this organ by reputation. There are very few Schulka organs left.
So do you know when Schuelke was active, when his company was in business?
Yeah, he immigrated from West Prussia over here to the United States in 1864. He lived in a few different places, most notably Ann Arbor, Michigan, Dayton, Ohio, and also Indianapolis, Indiana, before moving to Milwaukee in 1874. That next year he got married, and he went into business with a guy named Theodore Steinert. The partnership did not last very long. I don't think they saw eye to eye. And they split up, I think, a year or so after that. And actually, Theodore Steinert went off on his own, started his own organ company. He proceeded to set his own shop on fire. And last we heard of Theodore Steinert, he was escaped on bail and fled town, and we don't know what came of him. But Schulka went on to be a massive success in Milwaukee. He started building relatively small organs, kind of like this, for country churches around Wisconsin. His first big contract came for a large organ for Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church in Milwaukee. This unfortunately was lost to fire just in 2018. This was perhaps the greatest blow to Wisconsin organ history, as the organ was just incredible in both sight and sound, and the original building it was in was a sight to behold too. He also got several other large contracts though, most notably St. Francis Catholic Church in Milwaukee, which is an organ that does still survive. It has a Barker machine and Copen valve chest, so pretty complex organ. He also built a large organ that doesn't exist for the Basilica of St. Jehoshaphat in Milwaukee. I believe he built in total about 160 organs or so. Some Wisconsin organ historians can comment and give us the correct number if that's wrong. Very few of them unfortunately survive, and so that makes this organ quite rare. Schulka died in the very early part of the 20th century, I believe in 1902, and his son Max took over the company. Max had a good heart, and they built quite a few organs, but never was able to really kind of capture the same kind of interest that his dad had. And the Schulka company dissolved in the early part of the 20th century. William Schulka, as an immigrant from Prussia, was a fairly conservative organ builder, all things considered. Actually, I've seen some of the videos you've done of J.G. Pfeffer organs around Missouri, and they've reminded me of the Schulkas that I have played.
Similar German immigrant kind of
Yeah, you know, at a time when choruses, well-developed choruses, were sort of on their way out. People like Schulka really stuck to their guns and built really fine Germanic-sounding choruses that are capable of really playing Bach exceptionally well. And an interesting story, Schulka had an employee named George Weichert. And George Weichert, he was an up-and-coming organ builder himself. He had a few innovations in organ design. And he and William Schulka kind of butted heads a few times. Weichert wanted Schulka to add celestes, which were this newfangled thing, you know, in the late 19th century. And Schulka refused, and he was like, he wanted to get involved building more tubular mag organs, and Schulka wanted to stick to what he knew with mechanical action. And so I think Weichert and Schulka had a falling out, and so the legend goes, Weichert just thought that he was an old fuddy-duddy, and Weichert went on to actually make a name for himself at the Wahl Organ Company, which is another Milwaukee builder.
And hopefully we'll hear more about Wongren later.
Yes, yeah.
So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to keep more videos coming your way. But for now, this instrument's been restored by the Wahl Organ Company, which is in Appleton, Wisconsin, so not far away, and restored with Wisconsin colors on the stencils, correct?
Yes.
That's the story.
Well, there's two ways to look at the facade. It is green and sort of a nice hue of yellow. Waunakee is a very fast-growing suburban area of Madison, and actually we have some farm fields that are around the church. So one could say that the facade is inspired by the cornfields that lie right outside the church. One could also interpret the facade as being Packer colors, because of course it is a Wisconsin-built organ, restored by a Wisconsin organ company and in a Wisconsin church. So it doesn't get more Wisconsin than this organ.
Well, it's just one manual, and actually I don't even know how many ranks it is. I haven't counted. But before we even hear it, I actually want to go in and look around at some of the restoration work and see what that looks like. So let's check it out. Same kind of casework design that we saw inside a Pfeffer organ with the angled pieces of wood.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Let's see, the sliders going across.
I take it the Pfeffers are extremely well built.
They're behemoths. Then we have a little, I guess that's our tremolo. I don't know how we get up there. I think it might be the other side.
Yeah, maybe.
We have to clean out that other side and see. Looking for any marks or anything that indicate. The floor framing's all new. There's double rise regulator. I think we might have to take one of those off and use a ladder to actually get to anything. So I see the pedal chest back there. They're very pretty pipes.
He did build most of his pipes too. Mentioned that.
He did build pipes?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really know how you get. I think you just have to take the side off.
Okay, need help?
I need a ladder. This is an Andrew job because he's taller than me. Just come right up. Wow. Well, there's a walkboard in the middle. So now I'm thinking you have to take out a middle pipe to get to it.
Yeah, well, at least this will.
Or there's a walkboard in the back, but you can't get up there. Yeah, look.
Where do you see the walkboard?
Middle, up, in the air. Between-
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, there is one here. I mean, you could get in this panel if you took it off.
Yeah, but the fact that it, or does it have just two middle screws too? Yeah. Maybe that's the one you're supposed to take off.
All right. Now the Schulka shall be revealed. All right, so.
I shall.
What? Must be the cello.
What are you seeing?
The open 8-foot wood.
Oh yeah, it's there's a cello in the pedal, so it's probably open all the way down.
All right.
So now, having looked inside the organ, I didn't see any markings or anything that indicated anything specific other than what we see is what we get. So it has been restored. A lot of the covering has been repainted. Nice red color on all the regulators in there. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the stops we've got inside. There's no box, no swell box. Everything's out here on one big chest on the one manual. So pick something and let me hear it.
We'll start out with the open diapason, which partially in the facade and then right behind the facade is where it finishes up in the compass.
That's a lot brighter than I was expecting. Certainly compared to, say, the steer that you introduced us to not long ago, for a similar period. It's got just, I don't know if it's how much of that's after the fact sort of voicing, but
Right,
it's definitely a brighter sound than
So
I was expecting.
I would say that's true of my assessment as well. It was much brighter than I was expecting. A pleasant surprise, I have to say. It really sings, and the acoustics in this room are actually pretty nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's for a modern room. It's big and it's got a nice high ceiling. So, and there is some carpet in here, but it's hard carpet, and
Yeah.
I think nothing soft on the walls or pews helps a lot.
Yeah, this is definitely an organ that, in a brief time with it, packs a much bigger punch than you would think just looking at it. It's got a lot of sound for one man.
Well, let's come on up and add the octave on top of that and see what we.
Sure. Here's the octave by itself. With the open.
And then we have a 15th to go on top of that, or the mixture is probably a 15th.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a 15th there. So.
Yeah. And then we have a mixture of 3 ranks.
Okay. That's really bright.
It is
That's
very
a bigger
bright.
sound than I was expecting.
Let's try some Bach on it.
I would call that a success. I think that's.
I would call it a success too, and we can see why in 1890 George Weichert thought that this was pretty old school. It's compared to the 1890s, as we mentioned, the steer at Luther Memorial, just downtown. That is a much darker organ and was probably more forward-thinking than this organ. But
Which is funny to think about because most people would say that don't realize how modern sounding some of those late 19th century German organs were to our
Right.
ears because we've gone back and sort of reclaimed some of those sounds.
Yeah.
But this would have been an old-fashioned sound in the 1890s to a lot of people.
Yeah.
We need all those bright things. We want more lush and soft color.
Well, again, is Schulka was Protestant and Lutheran, I believe, and so big surprise being in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I know, but and being from Prussia. So, I mean, what better sound to accompany a congregation full of Lutherans than this? So I'll play a little hymn so we can.
Yeah, please.
Yes, this is a German. This is a Lutheran chorale, evening and morning. And we do have a 16-foot bourdon, actually, to go with that chorus.
Oh, on the manual.
Yeah.
Has a good healthy wind supply, that nice
Yeah.
double rise bellows in there that was restored authentically. That's nice to see because it
Absolutely.
needs that much wind to keep all that rolling. It does have an electric blower. I can tell it was hand pumped originally. There's a spot where the pump used to go. And in fact, the Calcant signal knob, which you would use to tell the blower person that it's time to pump more air, is actually how you turn on the blower today. So
Right.
it's a
Yeah, you
nice
gotta be careful with
reuse
that.
of that. So we do have some other stops in the grate besides the principal course, other 8 foots, or 8 and 4, because it doesn't say on the knob face. You have to know what the name means.
Right.
Tell me what we've got here.
Well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, actually, and talk about the 16-foot bourdon, which starts at tenor C. It's made out of wood. Really beautiful
It's
stuff.
right here in the front, so it speaks really well. Right behind the diapason.
And then we do have a stopped diapason at 8 foot, also made out of wood.
Part of it's that we're standing right here in front of the case, but not having any sort of box, that sound just sings right out into the room.
It does.
It makes those feel a lot bigger than I think they actually sound out in the room, but they're very nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people underestimate how much boxes affect organs. Sometimes for the better, sometimes, it's fun to hear these stops unencumbered by any sort of box. So anyway, that's the stopped diapason 8. Also at 8 foot, we have a dolce, really nice and quiet.
Yeah, we'd call that a string, definitely more than, it's not a dulciana, it's definitely a dolce string, a very soft sound there. And then there's a bigger string.
Yep, for gamba. I will note that the gamba and the dolce both share a stopped
flute bass. Yeah.
And the gamba is really designed to work well with the stop diapason at 8 foot. There's a lot of different kind of color sounds you can get out of that gamba if you combine it with like the 4-foot flute.
Hey, what's that flute sound like by itself? That's a really bright, colorful
Sure.
sound there. Colorful little flute there.
Yeah. I want to hear all 3, or 4, I should say, 8s at once. Hear what the fonds sound
Sure.
like. About all you can play of that piece on this organ, but it nobly played it, that's for sure. What a beautiful sound.
It is beautiful, but I'm not sure it was ever really designed
No,
to have
no.
You don't need them,
Yeah.
because even just the open diapason by itself is enough to fill a room.
You are correct.
It didn't add much. It added some color, it added some brightness, but it didn't add any volume to put on more stops there. So, all right, and then we have 2 stops that are just in the pedal.
Correct. Sub bass. Nice and regulated.
Yeah, that's very nice.
It's not too much, not too little. And then 8-foot cello that is an open wood stop actually.
Only down at the very bottom does the string sounds start to come out. It mostly sounds like an open flute.
It does,
It is an open wood all the way up, and all the way down, but it's much flutier at the top than I would expect.
Yeah, here they are together.
Nice full bass there.
Yeah. I should note that Schulka built, we think he built all the metal pipes for this organ. He's one of those builders that would sometimes order metal pipes, especially earlier on in his career. We know that he had a casting table and he had capability of making metal pipes. Perhaps someone who's watching this video, I'm not saying he definitively did or did not build the metal pipes for this, don't get me wrong. Maybe someone who knows this organ a little better than I maybe will comment on that. But it's certainly possible he built the metal pipes, most definitely built the wooden pipes, of which there are quite a few. The Borden, the flute 8 and the flute 4, and also the cello and the sub bass. So we got about half the organ is wood pipes.
One change I see is that there are 2 notches on the knee board, and I assume that was for probably combination pedals that would move the rollers for.
I assume so.
Some stops, a piano and a forte, but they've been removed in the rebuilds and moves of the organ. But everything else is very much like I would expect it to look originally.
Yeah.
So they've done a great job with this, and I'm glad it's still here playing.
Yeah, will certainly last another 120 years, 30 years.
I hope so.
Quite easily, and seems to be in a vibrant congregation that really appreciates it. So that's a real blessing. I will say that the compass is the same actually for both the manual and the pedal as it is on the 1893 steer. The contemporary at Lutheran Memorial goes to high A, so we're missing 3 pipes at the top of the keyboard, the manual keyboard, and then that goes to high D, so we're missing the top 5 pedal notes here.
Interesting, because that's the same. That was a standard
Yeah,
of sorts at the time. So.
And the pedal board is completely flat. It's not concave or anything like that. So a good German pedal board should be, I guess.
Course,
you know. So yeah, that's pretty much the organ.
Okay. Well, this has been a delightful little find here in Waunakee, Wisconsin. Had no idea this organ was here before this week, so thank you for letting me know about it.
My pleasure.
And certainly thank you for playing it and demonstrating the wonderful instrument. For something from 130 years ago, it's still remarkably playable. One manual, no expression, so some people find that a little daunting. But you showed us that it's perfectly capable of playing some wonderful church music.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a very versatile organ. Again, it's more versatile than meets the eye. I think a lot of people, like you said, would be really turned off by some of the limitations. But again, you just have to meet this organ where it is. And
you're not going to play Franck or Rieger or anything
no,
like that.
but that's not what was designed to do
Right, yeah.
originally. Schulka built a lot of these small organs. I think another thing that we didn't mention in the demonstration is the conspicuous lack of a reed on this organ. And again, in the late 19th century, it would have been pretty hard if you were in the middle of, say, northern Wisconsin, if that's where this organ originally was. It'd be hard to get an organ tech from Milwaukee or Madison or Wausau over there. So, you didn't have a reed on the organ.
My guess is this organ probably needs tuning once every 10 years maybe, and just to touch up a few slip stoppers or something.
Exactly.
So yeah, very versatile. It was a good investment for somebody because it's still here playing. So
Absolutely.
Hope you enjoyed that video, and thank you, Andrew, again for helping me out. We still have more organs to see here in around Madison, Wisconsin. So we hope you will join us for those. Please subscribe to our channel and click the bell for notifications. And Andrew, I hope we'll see you at least one more time before we leave town.
All these threats, I will be back.
So we hope you enjoy that. Thank you so much, Andrew. And remember, for streaming classical organ music, you can always find that on our 3 streaming stations 24 hours a day: OrganLive.com, Positively Baroque, and The Organ Experience. And to help support the Organ Media Foundation and help us make more videos, you can do that at organ.media and click on support. We depend on your support to make this happen. That's the only way we can get out here to places like Waunakee, Wisconsin, and see instruments like this that you just won't find anywhere else in the world. So again, thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Brent Johnson.
I'm Andrew Schaeffer.
Thanks for watching.